Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. Thanks for tuning in. Something a bit different today, CRT related. I bought one of these SONY EV-DT1 Video 8 Combis a couple of years ago now. When I first bought it, I was actually getting a picture on the screen, but the VCR wasn't working. And then saying that, the picture, if I seem to remember, did actually jump about a little bit at times. I forget what I paid for this now. I'll have to have a look through my eBay bought items and see what I paid for it. I'll add that in the video later on. When I bought this, the guy that sold it to me said he put a tape in it to see if it would work, and the tape is still stuck inside. It wouldn't come back out. He did actually ask me to return the tape to him, but I did actually say to him at the time it'll be a very long time before I probably get around to working on this. Now these are quite well documented as having capacitor problems on the power supply, so I suspect that's probably what the problem is here. But just the other day when I plugged this back in again, I am getting information up on the screen. The input is coming up, but unfortunately I'm not getting any video signal. I was getting sound, and now I'm not even getting that. It's got a fan on the back on this, and I must admit there is a bit of a smell coming out of it, a bit of an odour. It could even be a fishy smell, which does indicate the capacitors. So in today's video, I'm going to be opening this up and have a look inside and take a look at the capacitors. Fingers crossed they're not to a point where they've eaten away the board completely and I can actually repair this. So I hope you'll stay tuned for me with that. So for that and hopefully more, hopefully we'll see this working. Stay tuned and I'll see you right after the intro. Before we actually do open it up though, I've actually got the instruction manual for this, so let's have a quick look at that. 1988 it's got on there. That's one thing I do like about the Sony gear. They put the year of manufacture on there, or when it first came out, because as you know, sometimes these things can go for quite a few years. Back in 1988 when this came out, it sold for around the £1,000 mark, which in today's money you're looking at about £3,500, so it was a very expensive unit. One thing I don't have actually is a remote for this, which I thought I had. So yeah, this is a Video 8 Combi unit, and it has a tuner built in as well. There's a remote control. It's not putting the model number up there, I can't see that. Obviously this only takes the Video 8 tapes itself. It won't play about the high 8 tapes. Telescopic aerial there. I think I might have one of those somewhere actually. Not that it's any good now, because obviously that was the analog days. Here we are, accessory supplied. RMT 443. I knew it would be in there somewhere. Oh, there's an optional carry bag for this as well, an LCS DT1. Okay, so before I take you around this unit and show you the connections that it has and its other features and benefits, I'll just show you what it's actually currently doing. Interesting, I've had this switched on for a little while now. It seems to be doing a little bit more than it was when I initially turned it on earlier today. So I plugged in one of those little cheap game controllers again. These little game controllers have a lot of retro games in them, most of which I've not even heard of. And the picture is actually coming through now and then, along with the sound, though it does seem to be intermittent. And the picture goes off the screen as well. And as you can see there, it's a little bit distorted. It's flashing up the date there because it's not been set yet. An SP for the speed of the cassette, the video drive. But yeah, as you can see, it's a little bit off. It's rolling a bit. I tried to adjust the horizontal hold, but it's just not keeping. It's certainly out of spec. It's more than likely the capacitors that have leaked. Well, I say they've leaked, I don't know they have. But from what I've read about these online, there seems to be quite a common fault with these, in that they leak in the power supply board. Fingers crossed the rest of the unit's okay. I'm hoping that once we sort out the power supply board, the VCR will come back to life, because I've never seen it do absolutely anything, not even any motor sounds. Normally when you turn these things on, when they have a video drive, you hear a little bit of movement first, certainly with the camcorders anyway. So let's have a look around this and look at its connectivity and features. On the front there you've got a neat little drawer that pops out, and on this is where you set the timer and the date and time itself. And then above that you have the on standby button, volume up and down, program up and down for the analog tuner, serial number label there 500934, pause, stop, play, fast forward and rewind, and a record sliding switch. And then you've got the eject button there for the tape. Small earphone jack, and this one's boasting a flying erase head, just like the camcorders. Just there you've got the standby light, infrared sensor, and then the timer recording lamp on the right hand side. It's got a nice screen protector on it as well. And then round its right hand side, the little flapper pops down. It's got your input select there, AFT, AV mute on off, search, clear, tuning, slow adjust. And then you've got contrast, brightness, colour, and your horizontal hold. It's nice that the flap is still intact. Sometimes these things are missing. And then you have your AC input, DC in, says 12 or 24 volts, control S in, aerial in for analog, and then you have the RTA inputs on the back there for composite video in and out and audio in and out. That sticker there looks like a serial number, but it can't be because it's different from the one on the front. And there's that fan there on the back that was emitting those horrible smells. And you've got the aerial attachment at the back there. Then you've got the model number on the side there, Video 8 combo, Trinitron colour, Video TV, EV-DT1, Video 8 power. Got a little carry handle there on the top. It's a very heavy unit this actually. And it says made in Japan on the top. Sorry about the dust all over this, I didn't realise just how dusty it was. So hopefully we'll get this thing working like I said. I think next we're going to have a look at the service manual, because I found that. And we'll take this thing apart and have a look inside and see what we're confronted with. I'm expecting this to be quite busy inside, quite tightly packed, with it being a Sony. They will try and keep the size down, and taking these things apart can be quite difficult sometimes. But like I said, I managed to find the service manual, so fingers crossed all will go well. So let's have a quick look at the service manual. I'm not going to show the whole manual, but I will show you the pages that show you the disassembly of this unit. You can find this quite easily online. If I think about it, I may put a link in the description to this video. So obviously first of all you take the top off, and it's asks you to take the front off. At first I didn't do this. I just took the top off and removed the PCB power supply board at the back there. But then as time went on after looking at that, I thought, well, let's have a look at the rest of this unit and take it apart. Let's see if there are any other problems inside. Some of these pictures weren't very obvious to me where screws were. Sometimes the service manuals can actually add a little bit of confusion, certainly for myself anyway. As I say, I'll put a link in the description for this, so if anybody wants to have a look through at their leisure, they can do, as the service manual shows absolutely everything. There are 203 pages in total. So I'll leave you just to look at these last few pages of the service manual, so you can pause the parts you want to look at. And then we'll open this up and have a look inside. Before we start, I just want to put out a warning like I usually do with CRT stuff. CRT sets can hold a high voltage. Even after being powered off after hours and days, they can still hold a high charge, thousands of volts in fact. So proceed with caution if you're going to open one of these units up, and treat them with respect. And that goes for any CRT. So as I previously mentioned, it says to take the top off first. There are 4 screws, 1 on each side and 2 on the back. Not sure if somebody's been in here before actually, because the screw heads look a little bit silver, like the paint's been scratched off from somebody else opening them up. Just notice there's also a little bit of a lip there on the left hand side compared to the right. Hopefully no one's been in here and messed anything up. Oh, thankfully there's actually a plug here for the speaker wire. On the cheaper stuff it tends to be soldered directly to the speaker or the board. Got some date codes here. Looks like this ran for a few years, looking at that stamp. 1987 through to 88 and 89. This looks like this model came out, or this version I've got here, in 88. I was just 13 years old. Makes me feel really old. Quite a bit of dust inside this, but I'm actually glad to see that. It means no one else has been in here. Got a bit of corrosion on the back there on that protective shielding. That's not looking good. It means something's probably been spilt on it. As you can see, as I thought, it is definitely packed out in here. Very cramped. Probably why it's got that fan on the back to help disperse the heat. Sony tube there. Massive suction cup. It is very heavy, this unit. I suspect it's probably the CRT that's giving it all the weight. You've even got a little block diagram there on the back. So the next thing to do is start taking the rest of this apart to get into that power supply at the back there. There's quite a lot of grounding points on this unit actually. I guess because it's got a VCR in here, along with a television set and a tuner, it's going to need them. So all those grounding cables are going to need to come off. And a couple of other screws as well. And that will release the whole block power supply at the back there. I almost missed this screw at the back here. This holds the bottom of the PSU block in place. And then it should slide out, and there's 3 cables to release off of the board. I suppose one of them will be for the TV, one will be for the VCR, and one probably for the tuner. And there we are, we're out. Quite an unusual affair this. We've got that big block at the back there, and then there's a little circuit board at the top. Looking inside, it looks pretty clean. So far, I've not spotted any horrible surface mount capacitors. Fingers crossed there won't be any. Let's take a closer look at the PW59 daughter board at the top of the block. At first glance, everything appears to be okay. The only capacitor I suspect here is that purple one there. The legs look a little bit dark on it. That could just be some kind of corrosion. Next it's time to remove the fan and that top panel. 2 screws and a couple of plugs to unplug. I can see 4 what look like voltage regulators here and a large heatsink. And then last but not least, there are just 2 screws to remove. This will allow the top cover to come off, and then you can pull out the PCB from its housing. And there you go, finally we're inside. And sadly it wasn't looking good. Here's my initial reaction. Lots of corrosion. It's like it's had liquid in it. The damage and the corrosion all seems to be contained to the secondary stage of the power supply board. At first I thought it might be some liquid that poured into the machine, but under that can I think is where all the problems lie. You can see there's some of the traces gone a little bit black. I'll show you some close-ups now. As you can see, the board has been heavily oxidised in this area. Even the CAN terminals there are completely crusted over. I did actually clean this off later on with a wire brass brush, and lots of fine white powder went in the air. These 2 points here that I've marked with 2 red arrows have holes. They've not even been soldered correctly in the first place. I can't imagine that the solder's been eaten away. I think it's just poor soldering at the factory. After cleaning those CAN terminals, I put lots of flux on and adding more fresh solder to try and get them to release. I think about 7 or 8 minutes later I finally got the lid off. And here's my initial reaction. Oh, yeah. There we go. Wow. Not sure how well that's getting picked up on the camera, but boy, they are bad. Jeesh. There's those 3 there by the looks of it. And probably that one there as well. It certainly smells bad. Right, we need to find out the values of those. What we got? 470 UF, 10 volt, 330 UF, 35 volt, 470 UF, 10 volts again. Can't quite see what that one is back there. I'll find out when I get it out. I wonder if I've got any of those. It's certainly going to need a good clean, that's one thing for sure. It's absolutely, completely dried out and gone crusty. Wow. Wouldn't it be great if that's the only problem this had? It's a miracle it came on at all, really. Hands feel so weird. So next I went on to the task of removing those yellow capacitors, the 4 there that I showed you before. And I must say it was very difficult to get them out. I was trying not to damage the board by applying too much heat. Because the terminals were so corroded, even after cleaning them with a fiberglass brush, a small wire brush, kept on adding flux, fresh solder, eventually the solder took and I managed to free them all. I even took out one of the ones at the back as well that was yellow, and sure enough underneath with that there was a little bit of fluid, but nothing as bad as the other ones. And here they are after I removed them. You can see just how bad they actually are. Very crusty. I don't think there's anything left inside of them. In fact, I may even open one of these up to see if, just how dry they are inside. The largest one there was just beginning to leak by the looks of things because the fluid was clear and there was no apparent damage. So I didn't have any capacitors, unfortunately, in stock to carry on with this straight away, so I've ordered some Panasonic ones. Thought I'd spend a bit more this time on such a nice little unit here. Normally I just use cheaper ones. And as you can see, I've got quite a bit of cleaning up to do to help those new capacitors take, and obviously getting rid of all that corrosion. So while I'm waiting for these to turn up, which will probably be a week, I thought I'll take the rest of this unit apart, follow the rest of the service manual. I managed to remove the tube and the sideboard. It was quite hard actually getting that sideboard out. Let's have a quick look at the VCR portion of this little unit, and then we'll get on with cleaning the PCB. So interestingly, this is the tape drive here, all shielded up, and it's just sat on rubber mounts. Rubber bushes. Not screwed down at all, just floating in there. Very clean inside. Can't see any surface mount capacitors, thank goodness, on the video deck side, or the tuner, and the tuner, from what I've seen so far. I'm not even going to go any further with that. I've still got the tape inside. I'm hoping that once we sort those capacitors out, that will rectify the problem. The only other problem I've noticed so far is that cable there on the neck board at the back of the CRT. It's actually come away from the PCB, the track's actually lifted. Okay, time to get the boiler clean. Just going to use some IPA on it for now. And now I'm going to go over all those connections with some flux and try and reflow them. After about 15 minutes I'd done what I could, and the rest of them I've just left for now. I've just concentrated on the ones that look really bad and gone over those connections that had holes in. I just couldn't get the solder to stick to the other pads because they were so dulled from all the corrosion. So while I waited for those capacitors to turn up that I've ordered, I thought I'd address this neck tube problem. As you can see here, the pad is actually lifted off of the PCB. So what I'm going to do here is reflow the solder. I'm going to bridge a little piece of wire between those 2 points that are already joined together on the board, and that will make it strong so it won't wobble anymore. Okay, so the new capacitors have all arrived finally, yay. I can now get started on putting them all in, all 5 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we can power this thing back up once I've reassembled it and see if that's actually helped. Well, it will have helped, won't it, because they're in really bad condition. So that's the board after me cleaning it. It looks a lot better than it was. Pretty sure I've got everything off. I gave it a thorough good clean. And the underside's looking a lot better as well. It's very hard to solder to the dulled pads there, but I did my best at cleaning it. I can see another one there needs touching up actually. So let's get on with the recapping. I've got those 3 there to do, that one there, and then the one at the back there. That one there. I'm not sure actually if that one was actually bad in the end. I'll test it later with the ESR meter, because I could see some residue there, but it may have been a little bit of flux. But to be honest with you, it was one of those horrible, or the same brand should I say, as the other ones, and they're leaner. There we go, within the leaner. So I think eventually it would have gone anyway, so it's probably best to replace it. So let's get started. The first one we've got is the 470 UF 35 volt. 2 of those. These are a little bit bigger actually than the other ones that were in there. Yeah, they are. These ones are a little bit bigger. Well, I say a little bit, quite a bit. So I hope I can fit them in. Okay, so those capacitors are slightly bigger than the original ones. That's the original one there, look. But they do fit in okay. Still fit okay, they're not pushing up against anything, so there's a little bit of room there. And those little ferrite bands there still in position where they should be. I guess they're there to reduce some kind of interference. So we'll get those soldered in now. There we go, they're all in. So next thing to do now then is to reassemble it all, and then first power up. And fingers crossed it won't go bang. You just never know with these things, because sometimes you can disturb stuff and other problems, you can end up uncovering other problems. But it looks a lot better than it was. Had to have that one slightly raised because there's a resistor under it. But no, it looks fine. It's a damn sight better than it did before. Got a little bit of copper exposed there. I don't have any PCB masking, unfortunately. Got some Kapton tape, but obviously it's not going to cover it completely. And we've still got plenty of clearance there for those larger capacitors that I put in. And they're actually there on the slope side, aren't they? So we'll see how they look in a moment. There we are. Oh, just about fits. Perfect. I was lucky there with the difference in the height of those capacitors. But I'm not going to solder those towers back on just yet. We'll try it first and see if it works, just in case. I've got to remember where everything goes now. So one's DC and one's AC. Not much cable length. Got these little rubber grommets there to stop the fan vibrating, or to help stop it vibrating. Oh, there's some rubber mounts there as well. It looks like one's dropped out. Missing one there. There's actually only 3 of these rubber mounts for some reason. There wasn't one missing after all. I won't bore you with the rest of the reassembly procedure. It's just common sense really, and just remembering to put all those cables back in where they belong, and all the grounding points, and there's a lot of them. Right, fingers crossed it's going to work and nothing's going to go bang. Okay, fingers crossed, let's turn it on. Oh, tape deck's doing something now. So it's done this initial startup test. Well, the picture's not jumping around like it was. Well, not yet. Let's put this on. There was an input select button, wasn't there before? So I'm getting anything on the game input. That's the tuner. That's the input. Let's just turn that off for a second and try pressing play. Or no. Not getting any controls on the video 8 deck. Volume's working. So we've still got problems then. Well, at least nothing's gone bang. Just a shame we're not getting any image. Definitely heard that tape deck though start up. Let's just try and turn it on and off again. And let's see, it's trying to come through. So we've definitely got a problem there on the video board, haven't we? So we sorted something out on the power supply, but I was hoping that'll be it. So it's still on a bit. Was that it now? That's strange. Well, that's the steadiest I've seen this picture on this. Got a feeling there might be some bad caps on the video board. Sound's definitely working alright. Why has it not come on though straight away? It's weird. Nothing on the video deck. I wonder if I forgot to plug something in. It's going to do a complete power down. Let's power back on again. You can hear the heads going round. It wasn't doing that before at all. Oh, hang on, it's lit up play now. Showing play up on the screen then, but now it's gone off again. Okay, I think I'm going to call this part 1 of 2 for this video. It's gone on long enough now. I have already started doing other things with this. Let's just recap where we've gotten to. I've cleaned that board and replaced those capacitors that were leaking, and since making this little bit of video here, the TV's been working absolutely fine. I don't know what happened when I initially plugged that game controller in to do the demonstration, but it's been working fine ever since, and I must say it's a lovely picture on this TV. I don't think the tube needs anything doing to it at all. The geometry is really good on it, from what I can tell anyway. So in the next video we'll have a look at the daughter board on that power supply block board there, PW59, the smaller board, and do some ESR readings on those capacitors and see how we get on with that. So I suspect there's some problem with that board there. I don't think it's outputting the right voltages. I don't think there's enough power there basically to power up the VCR itself. But if anybody else has any experience with this SONY EV-DT1, the VCR side of things, with the tape not ejecting and no transport controls, please let me know in the comments. The only action I've seen out of this so far, the head spinning up and the play symbol appearing on the screen, along with a little green LED light on the play button itself. So that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Please stay tuned for part 2, and I'll be seeing you. And if you did enjoy watching this video, you may want to take a look at some of my other videos on similar themes. I'm always buying something on eBay, some old piece of technology, and trying to repair it. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Thanks for watching.